And hello, everyone. Welcome to our power scanning session. It is November 22nd, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And once again, today, we will be on the lookout for the most interesting swing trading setups for the week and the weeks ahead. And of course, yes, today we're starting at an unusual time. Normally, our power scanning sessions are starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Time at noon, but today it's 5 p.m. And the reason is because I'm greeting you today from beautiful Melbourne. I was trying to give you a nice view behind me, but unfortunately, even though I'm in the 35th floor here in my hotel, the weather is not the best today. It's rainy and cloudy in Melbourne in Australia. I was here for the TradeView Algo Trading Conference. I was one of the speakers. I was presenting an algo based on our liquidity IQ indicator. We're going to talk more about this one in our lunch and learn session on Tuesday. In any case, guys, yes, I'm calling in from Melbourne, but where are you guys calling in from? Who do we have in the room today? Please share your location in the Q&A box. Let's see. All right, who do we have today? I can see we do have a fully packed room, so please don't be shy. Put your location into the Q&A box. David from London. Hey, David, how's it going? Andrea from Hamburg. And she's saying, yeah, thanks for taking your time, even from Australia, for the power scanning session. Of course, no problem. Christian from Leitzen. I think this is southern Germany or maybe Switzerland. I forget. We have Rod from Italy. Hey, Rod. Nice to have you. Ralph from Jockgrim, Germany. I'm not sure where that is. Fabian from Hannover. Hey, Fabian, how's it going? William from San Francisco. Hey, William. Paula from New Jersey. Hey, Paula. Good to have you. Steffen from Hamburg. Hey, Steffen, how's it going? And he says, hello to Sydney. Yes. No, not Sydney, from Melbourne, actually, today, not Sydney. Christian from Schleswig-Holstein, also in Germany. Oh, he said his place is in Schleswig-Holstein, which is a state in the northern part of Germany. Aubrey from freezing. Yeah, freezing. Cyprus. I kind of doubt that, Aubrey. It's actually freezing there. Okay, and Tom from Roseville, California. Hey, Tom, how's it going? We have Robert from Alexandria, Virginia. Hey, Robert. Jose from Wollongong. What is that? What is NSW? I'm not sure. We have Devendra from Princeton. Hey there. Stefan from. Oh, he's in Sydney today. Oh, okay. We're not far away, Stefan. Wow. Ah, okay, I see. Angelo from Ontario, from Canada. Aubrey says, "Oh, Aubrey says he's in the UK. All right, all right. He confused me there. Okay, then I can believe it. That might be freezing." We have Daniel from Placida, Florida. Hey, Daniel, how's it going? And we have somebody from India as well. Perfect. All right, guys, thank you so much for sharing your location. Let's get into it. And just to keep the slides a bit clean, I'm going to stop sharing my video. And yeah, let's get into it. Today, we're going to be once again on the lookout for swing trades. We're not going to be looking for day trades, which you might be opening and closing within the same day, and also not necessarily for the super long-term investments, which you may hold for multiple years or maybe even for life. So a swing trade typically lasts between 1 and 20 weeks. And the beautiful thing about what we're going to be doing today is something that you can replicate in just a couple of minutes. We call this the 13 minutes strategy. And the idea is that, once the market closes every day, you open up our dashboard, you put your filter criteria and your scan criteria into the dashboard. And within very few minutes, you'll be able to see which stocks are currently of interest for potential interesting swing trading setups. So this is why we coined this one the 13 minutes strategy. And for those of you perhaps who are joining us for the very first time today, and if you are, please put a 1 into the Q&A box. A quick introduction. My name is Daniel Sinnig and I'm with tradingindicators.com. So I'm here the guy on the left-hand side. And together with Homer, here in the middle, we have created Trading Indicators about 10 years ago now. And about halfway through our journey, Nicholas has joined us. Nicholas is also in the room today, and he'll be looking out for your questions. And as our name suggests, we are specializing on building trading indicators. This is our bread and butter. We've built thousands of those for clients all over the world. And I can just see here, William is here for the first time. Hey, William, how's it going? And Daniel Masson, I think from Italy, if I remember, also for the first time. Wow, welcome, guys. It's great to have you. Hopefully, we're going to make it worth your while. And most of what we do, in fact, is based on what's called technical analysis, which is basically a mathematical pattern analysis of your price chart. We believe that fundamentals are almost immediately priced in, and by analyzing your price chart from a technical point of view, you will indirectly also take into account fundamental information. We also believe that interpreting fundamentals is inherently difficult. We're going to have an example of this a bit later on when we talk about NVIDIA. So, and we believe that technicals oftentimes are much easier to analyze and more helpful in many cases to predict what may happen in the future. Also, it will simplify your trading. We believe that trading should be simple, and trading is simple, but you need to know what to look for. And one mission of this session today is to show you how we are using our scanner, the Liquidity View scanner, to find the most interesting swing trading setups. And of course, guys, if you have any questions, please make this webinar your own. Put your questions into the Q&A box, and Niklas will look out for those questions and bring them to my attention as we proceed through this presentation. I also need to remind you that trading does contain risk and therefore is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which you're actually able to afford to lose. Should this happen? When it comes to backtest performance or hypothetical performance, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trade ideas and strategies discussed in this webinar should not be construed as trade advice. These are for educational purposes only. All right, a couple of housekeeping items to begin with. First off, what we will be doing today is to interactively scan for setups using our Liquidity View dashboard. And it would be really helpful if you don't have, or it would be really nice if you could follow along, having the dashboard open on your screen as well. So if you don't have access to the dashboard yet, you can sign up right now. Oops, that's the wrong slide. It doesn't matter. You can sign up right now with the link that Niklas is going to post into the chat. Sorry, normally I have a little page here where you can sign up. The link is tradingindicators.com/view. And Niklas, please put this link into the chat box, tradingindicators.com/view, which will allow you to sign up for a full week of a free trial of our dashboard. So Niklas, yeah, please put this link in there. And let me just quickly see if it's done. Not yet. Actually, let me put it in there real quick. So tradingindicators.com/view to sign up for a trial of the dashboard. There we go. Oops. 1 second, please bear with me. Oh, there's perfect. Okay, thanks, Niklas. You did it already. Excellent. Okay. Next, tomorrow we're not taking any break. Tomorrow I'll be back online with our good friend Johnny Seville. In fact, I'll be taking a flight in about 3 hours right now up to Gold Coast, also in Australia and Queensland, to Broadbeach, which is where Johnny Seville, our good friend with Icon Wealth Corp is, and we will be having a special webinar tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And Niklas, please also put this link into the chat. There it is. Okay. Signing up is completely free, and we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic. Where Johnny is analyzing what actually has happened with the recent tech sell-off. Now, you may have seen it at NVIDIA and many other tech companies. They dropped quite a bit on Thursday. Why this happened and what this may mean for the markets moving forward, we will be discussing today. And the link is tradingindicators.com/special, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Right, with Johnny Seville. Moving on. If you already have the dashboard, or if you don't have it, but you want to find out all about it, we recorded a special bootcamp about our Liquidity View dashboard, where we are detailing and discussing every single feature of the dashboard. In today's session, we can only touch, maybe 25% of all the scans that are available. If you want to know what all the other scans are all about, please go to tradingindicators.com/bootcamp. And Niklas will put this link also into the chat box. Moving on, Discord. Yes, we do have a Discord channel. Feel free to stop by and check it out at tradingindicators.com/Discord. And we've also made an ebook available to all of you called The Power of Three, where we are detailing and discussing our 3 most important setups, typically that we are using to find interesting swing trades. We call this The Power of Three because there are 3 setups in there which we are discussing. And the link for this is tradingindicators.com/power-of-3. Just down here. Niklas will also put this link into the chat. And lastly, and then we're going to start our scanning process. If you have any suggestions or feedback on how to further improve our dashboard, please don't be shy. Put your question or your feedback into the Q&A box or send us an email afterwards, because this is what drives the future development of the dashboard. And many of the features which are in there right now, they were inspired directly by you guys. So please continue to do so. because together we can build a truly amazing tool. It's already pretty cool, but of course, we can always do better. We can always add more things into it. All right. So with this, let's start with our market review. All right. So I'm going to switch over to our dashboard. There we go. And we're going to start with the SPY, the S&P 500 ETF. And I'm excited, right? I'm going to tell you exactly why I am excited. What has happened last week? Well, once this opens up, there we go. Okay, so what has happened? Let me make this a bit bigger. Just one second. Put this a little bit up. There we go. Okay, so this is the price chart of the SPY. No, this is not the right one. It's this one down here. I thought it looked a bit funny. There we go. So this is the SPY. And what did we see here? Well, on Thursday, what a day it was. Now we opened up high like many stocks in the tech industry as well. We opened higher on Thursday, but then we dropped almost 7%. At least for Nvidia, it was the case, but also for the SPY, we dropped a considerable amount on Thursday. And guess where we stopped? Now, if you look a bit careful here, where did price stop? Almost to the T, exactly at this key support level. And this shows you once again how important it is to use technical analysis on your price chart. This is no coincidence in our view. We stopped exactly at the support zone as shown here by our liquidity IQ indicator. And if you go back to the scanner, what do we see in the scanner? We see a long bounce setup. As you know, if you're following us for quite some time, this is one of these setups that we typically scan for. A long bounce setup within a strong uptrend and a healthy level for pullback. You can see it here in our trend radar indicator. The first 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows are red. The last one is green. This is our healthy pullback setup. And in this case, a level 4 pullback in the SPY. And you know what? Since I think there's not much that you can do wrong when it comes to trading the SPY, at least from a longer term perspective, I'm going to be adding this symbol, the SPY, the ETF that tracks the S&P 500, to our list of stocks to watch for the next week. So I believe this is an interesting long setup. Let's see where the market opens on Monday, but I'll be looking potentially for perhaps buying some call options, maybe selling puts or buying the SPY directly on Monday, depending on where we open. So I'm going to add this one to our watch list. All right, so I'm going to go down here. Well, quick, create a new watch list. I'm going to share this one with you. It's the weekly swing trades. Just type this in properly. Trades, there we go, column 2025, 11. What day is it? 22, I believe. Hopefully I'm not mistaken. I think so. Okay, so create, and I'm going to be adding the SPY to this watch list, and I will also be sharing this watch list with you guys. I have a button, you can see it here, which allows me to share this watch list. And as we always do, we are sharing the last 5 watch lists from our power scanning sessions with you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to be unsharing this one here just to keep your desktop clean. Perfect. By the way, guys, a little outlook of what might be coming, I think, maybe in I don't want to be too eager, but maybe in 2-3 weeks, I will have the ability to also share my trade notes with you. So if I annotate the SPY or if I do anything on the chart and put some comments in here, I will be able to share these notes with you so that you can see it also in your account. So this is something we are working on right now. But we're still a couple of weeks out to finalize this feature. Okay, so that was the SPY. Definitely interesting. And I believe the uptrend, of course, is completely intact. And what we saw here is just a regular pullback. It was a steeper one, a level 4 pullback, but directly to key support. And I believe this could be an interesting launch pad for another move further up. What about the QQQs? Well, very similar picture here. The only difference in the Qs, the Nasdaq 100 ETF, that I can see is that the pullback that we, of course, also saw on on Thursday, it didn't come down to a support level, but it came down, it's a bit hard to see here, to this intermediate a former resistance level. You can see it here. Now, this little green line, it's a bit hard to see. Let me quickly hide our ME rush indicator so that becomes a bit clearer. There we go. You can see this little line here. This is a resistance level which was established or first seen back here in September. We broke it subsequently. And of course, as you know, once resistance is broken, what does happen? Well, resistance becomes support. And guess what happened here? We came up, we bounced back on Thursday, and where did we stop? Almost to the T at this former resistance level, now acting also as support. So I think also the QQQs are definitely an interesting symbol to consider for Monday. I'm going to actually also be adding this one to our watch list for next week. Long trade in the Qs, very similar to the SPY. All right, what about the Russell, the IWM, the Russell 2000 ETF? Let's have a quick look. All right, so here the situation is a bit different. I'm not so bullish. I mean, I am bullish in the Russell, but I think the setup is not so interesting right now because we are still fighting with this super, super important resistance level around 245. Now, I mentioned this many times before. This level was first established many years ago, back in 2021. So I have to scroll back quite a bit of even further. 2021. Once I'm finished scrolling back, you can see it here. This is where this level comes from, around 245. It's a super long-lasting resistance level. I'm not surprised that price has a really hard time getting above it and breaking it in a sustainable manner. So here a long trade, I'll be more careful because we are approaching this resistance level. And of course, we may bounce off this level once again. Okay, so that was the Russell. What about gold? The GLD. Well, gold has become a bit boring to me, to tell you the truth, because we're kind of stuck in this correctional phase that we are right now. So what has happened? We made all-time highs back in October, pushed high on October 20th, then a big drop down with a gap which is still not filled, and we continued further down, and then we bounced off this upper line of Amirashi, which was also a level 3 pullback of our trend radar indicator. And since then, we've been stuck in the range, so to say. This last week was quite boring. Look how tiny these bars were. Nothing really has happened in the gold market. I still believe gold is bullish, and even at these price levels right now, it's a level 2 pullback as per our trend radar indicator. It could be an interesting opportunity. I'm still holding some short puts in gold, which are soon to be expiring. Hopefully worthless in gold. So I'm definitely bullish. And even at this level here, I think it can be a good opportunity to potentially scale into a long position in gold in the anticipation that we will eventually be approaching the all-time highs again later on this year or perhaps early next year. All right. So two more symbols. What about oil? The United States Oil Fund, USO. Let's have a look. Okay, so oil is kind of all over the place. Let me just zoom out a little bit so that we can see it a bit better. And I mentioned it many times before. It's not so interesting for me to trade in this little narrow range. You can see there's support down here around 67, and there's intermediate resistance here at 74. It's a narrow range, and it's a bit hard to trade. I personally will wait, and I mentioned this a few times, until I will wait for the price either to go all the way up here to 83, potentially, buy puts or short the market, or for price to come down all the way to the 60 level. Here in this intermediate range, there's not much you can do, and prices are just kind of alternating between the resistance level up here and the support level down here. And one more. What about Bitcoin? Oh boy, good old Bitcoin. What's happening here? Let's have a look. Okay, so Bitcoin, yeah, we dropped. What a drop it was. In Bitcoin, we lost our key support level at around 103,000. This little red line here, 103,000. And we called it out. If we lose this level, the next stop, it kind of looks like we're gonna heading there, will be the 74,000 level in Bitcoin. Let me just quickly see what the live market is doing right now. So this was the close at 86, and the live market, yeah, now 84,000. We continue to drop. So it looks like we are on a path down to the 70,000 level. This level down here, 73,000, which is the next line of resistance with this key support level. And you can see this little green line here, also a former resistance level now acting as support, is in this vicinity. So here I would wait for Bitcoin potentially to go a bit further down. And then this level here, potentially looking at, adding to a strategic position in Bitcoin, a long-term position. This would not be a swing trade. All right. So that was our market review. And now let's quickly check, what did we find last week? Which setups did we find last week, and how did these stocks pan out? So I'm going to go down to my list here, and I'll be open up the weekly swing trades from November 15th. All right, this is our small watch list here. We can see we have 7 symbols in here. And the first one that came up is Comico. In fact, Comico was also our trade of the week. which we pointed out in our newsletter last Monday. And yeah, not much has happened here. We are still pretty much in the same setup. We called it out here. Prices are just a little bit lower. Nonetheless, I believe it's still an interesting long trade idea. Nothing has changed here. We are right at this key support level, and the idea is that prices may bounce off the support level towards the all-time highs of around 110%, $110 here or $109. So this setup is still intact. I still like it. And if you took this trade because it was our trade of the week, I would, yeah, I'll just, keep your position the way it is. We also point out that our stop loss would be a bit further away because this is a stock which I believe is good to have in any portfolio, anyways, because uranium, this is what this company specializes in, is probably in high demand in the future. All right, so this is chemical. What about S next? The StoneX Group. Not much has happened here either. We also called out a bounce trade here off this key support level and off this lower end of this parallel channel. We're still in the vicinity. So also here, I believe this setup is still intact. We still have a bit of room to go until we actually hit the support at around 80 here. And if we do, I think this could be an interesting, wow, that's a good opportunity or a good possibility that we will bounce off this level towards higher price levels. So basically nothing really has happened here as well. We're pretty much status quo. What about the GWW Granger stock? Yeah, here happened or has happened what um, we like to see. Yeah, when price approaches a support level, you can see it. If we came down to support and then we bounced off the support level, this is exactly the kind of move that we are looking for. This happened on Friday. So here, if you took that trade, we are in good shape. Just keep in mind that we do have this descending triangle here, and this upside move may be limited to the upper end of this descending triangle to around maybe 976 or 975, something like this. All right. The Ensign Group, also a sub that we considered last week, and also here, a nice move on Friday. This was our zone break retrace setup, one of our favorite setups, where we break above resistance, then we come back down towards the broken resistance level, and this oftentimes is a launch pad for another move higher. So this is exactly what happened on Friday. So this one is in good shape. And then finally, we had the Homet Aerospace Inc. HWM. Here we are actually right now in our entry zone. Yeah, we were hovering above it for quite some time. We got into our entry zone on Friday, and now this could be a really interesting setup for a long trade. In fact, I'm gonna add this one to our watch list this week again because this, I think, now is primed to jump higher off this former resistance level. And two more symbols are the Curtis White Corporation CW. Also, this one, look at this. And we got right into our target zone here as well for a potential long entry. So it took us quite some time last week. Prices were hovering above this level. On Friday, we finally got into it. And if on Monday we can go a bit further down, perhaps this could also be an interesting long entry for CW. I'm going to add this one also to our watch list. All right. And lastly, IBM. Yeah, not much has happened at IBM. We are right at this former resistance level. We went a little bit below with the tech setup sell-off last week, and now we're just right in the midst of it. If you're taking this position, I think we're still in good shape. We're right in the middle of this resistance level, and the idea is that we're going to be bouncing higher from this launch pad here. All right, so let me see if there are any questions. Niklas, do we have questions coming in so far?
You see, we have a question here from Massa, I think. I'm just reading it. For CCJ, so this was the pick
Chemical.
last week.
Yeah.
Price went below that level. So do you mean now we should keep it until it gets to the lower support level? It's not clear
Yeah, that's
what should be the point of selling, like stop loss.
Oh yeah, I think when we had our lunch and learn, or I think also last week when we discussed our uh this setup is I wanted to give this trade a bit more room because we came down quite a bit from the all-time highs. We closed this gap here, and sometimes when this happens, it's the lower support level here, which is the strongest one. So I would give it a bit more room. I think we are still in good shape with Kamiko, but I would definitely use a wider stop here. Absolutely. Yeah.
And a question from Christian, which platform would you suggest best to invest in Bitcoin?
I actually don't use any platform per se. The way I purchase Bitcoin is through an offline wallet. I'm not sure which broker they are using. No idea, but I used to be a Coinbase, if that's an option for you. So Coinbase, of course, is also a well-known one to invest in Bitcoin. but it's not what I do. I use an offline wallet.
I think, and also I think maybe it was 2 years ago, but on Interactive Brokers you could buy Bitcoin too. But of course they
Okay.
manage a wallet.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If that's a possibility, of course, Interactive Brokers is um, a very reputable broker. We do all our futures and options and stock trading with Interactive Brokers. And if they do offer Bitcoin as well, yeah, why not? Absolutely. Okay. Perfect. All right. Yes. Can you show NVIDIA? Absolutely. That's a great question, Robert. In fact, remember when I said in the beginning that interpreting fundamentals is so inherently hard? And the technicals are often so much easier to interpret. Let's start with NVIDIA. It's a very good sign. So, very good question. So, NVIDIA, of course, had earnings on Wednesday evening after the market closed. We can see it here. Uh, on the chart, earnings came out on that Wednesday. And then on Thursday, when the market opened, we gapped open. You can see it here. We gapped open all the way to 195. But what happened then? A huge sell-up in NVIDIA directly down to this key support level. So in fact, NVIDIA is also looking good right now for a long entry. We went right to the support level. And of course, once again, if you would take this trade, let's say a long trade here off the support level, give it some more room because this was a big sell-off. You know, if the stock has lots of downside momentum, it may take some time until it actually stops to the downside. But this now is a great opportunity to get into Nvidia at a discount. Yeah, let me see how big that move was. I believe it was 7% on that Thursday from the top to the bottom. Let me just quickly measure this out for you guys. Yeah, 7.5%. You can see this number here. That move. And altogether, we are 15.7% off our highs in NVIDIA right now. So potentially an interesting long opportunity. With NVIDIA, it's a long bounce setup. You can see it here in our scanner. And in fact, I'm going to add NVIDIA also to our watch list for the week, for the next week. Yeah, but why this happened? Actually, if you want to know what happened behind the scenes with this setup, join us tomorrow. The link is in the chat at 4 p.m. with Johnny Seville, where he will exactly discuss why we had this tech sell-off on Thursday and what this means for the markets moving forward. And this is tradingindicators.com/special for this webinar. All right. So now, of course, we are here not just to review what has happened in the market and what we pointed out last week. Of course, we also want to find some interesting new setups for the week ahead. What we're going to be doing is we're going to follow a systematic process as engineers as we are. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at one setup at a time. Based on what we find, we are creating a hot list of these stocks, and then at the end of the session, we will be going through this hot list and find the most promising setups within that short list. Okay, now the first setup which I usually look at is called the bounce setup. So, what is this bounce setup for all the ones who are joining us perhaps for the first time? Well, a bounce setup typically happens if we are in a long-lasting trend. And typically when it comes to stocks, we are considering an uptrend because we want to go long a stock. So we can see it here. This particular symbol, whatever it is in a long-term uptrend. No question about it. And we do have an indicator to identify stocks which are in such uptrends. But of course, as a trend trader, there are good moments to enter into the trend, and there are not so good moments. So, for example, here entering at the highs, where everything is extended, is perhaps not such a good moment. We want to wait for what we call a pullback. We call it the healthy pullback. You can see it here, where prices actually come down a little bit. We have an indicator for this design, which helps us to scan for stocks which are currently in a long-term uptrend and in a pullback. And why do we want to enter on a pullback? Well, because we can get the stock cheaper with less risk, because our stop loss is going to be closer by. Now, this is what we will be looking for. And ideally, we want to find stocks where this pullback coincides with a key support level, exactly as we've seen with the SPY. Now we came down, we pulled back, and we stopped exactly at a key support level. So if I go back to the dashboard, for example, and look at the SPY once again, you see exactly what I mean by this. So here's the S&P 500. You can see it here. Definitely a pullback. We came down. Where did we stop? At this key support level. That's what I like to see. This is kind of the poster child of the bounce setup. We're coming down to a key support level. And the idea, of course, is that we are bouncing off to the long side, that the overarching trend, this uptrend here, is to continue. So how can we scan for these setups? Well, quite easy. I'm going to go back to our scanner here. We're going to be using the scanner on the left-hand side. And by the way, guys, quick detour before I actually start scanning. If you missed our lunch and learn session on last Monday, yeah, it was on a special day, it is now possible to reorder your columns in the scanner. There's an option here in the menu. You click on reorder columns like this, and then you can, okay, if you perhaps would like to see, I don't know, maybe your Liquidity IQ setups as one of the very first columns, you can just simply push it here, for example. Now it's reordered, and then maybe Emmy Rush next. Done. And once you finish reordering everything, you can simply go back to the settings, if you like, and disable this feature, and it will stay where it is. So very cool feature. We just deployed it last week. All right. So how can we now scan for these setups? Well, in fact, actually, let me just do it one more time. 1 second. Actually, going to take my pullback column here, which we're going to be using too, and we'll move this also to this point. In fact, just to keep our process clean, what about this? Emmy Rush, pullback, and then Liquidity IQ, because this is exactly what we're looking for. We want to find stocks which are, in that order, in an uptrend. We will be using our Emmy Rush column for this, a column which is specialized to find bullish or bearish stocks. We can click on this little filter icon and select bullish. And once then we can see, okay, of our 5,840 stocks currently, 3,433 stocks are bullish. Great, you can see every single arrow here is pointing upwards, it's green, and we also have a number next to it. Let me just explain to you what this number means. So for example here, for Agilent, it's an uptrend and number 24, meaning this stock, for example, is in an uptrend for 24 candles, for 24 trading days. And if we count back from here all the way to this bullish label here, guess what number we're going to get? This 24. And the cool thing is, if you then click on this column, the Emmy Rush column here, you can sort from highest to lowest. And for example, the stock, which is in an uptrend for the longest time, for 2,225 trading days, is AZO, AutoZone Inc. Now you can see it here, currently in the really long-term uptrend. So this is criteria number one. Criteria number two is we want to find stocks which currently actually pulled back. Yeah, we're not extended. We have pulled back a little bit within that uptrend. How can we do this? Well, for this, we're going to use this next column here, the pullback column. And we're going to select, okay, I want to find all the stocks with a level 2, 3, and 4 pullback. Let me show you what that means. So for example, and let's go to Chemical. So we just discussed this. Long trend uptrend for 1,383 trading days, so for a really long time, and currently in a level 4 pullback. What does that mean? Well, if you count these levels here, the red ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 4 levels are red, and the last one is green. That's a level 4 pullback. Let me find a different one. A level 3 pullback. This one here. Quanta Services. It says 3 here. Why 3? Because here in Trend Radar, 1, 2, 3 levels of a pullback. The last 2 ones are green. That's a level 3 pullback. And we also scan for level 2 pullbacks. Let me see if I can quickly find one here. There we go. This one here, GPOR, the Gulfport Energy Corporation, currently in a level 2 pullback. 1, 2, it's a shallow pullback right here. So that's criteria number 2. So long-term uptrend, as per Emmy Rush, and a pullback as per our trend radar indicator. And the last setup that we're looking for is that we want this pullback to coincide with a key support level. And for this, we will be using our Liquidity IQ column here, which is basically the indicator which identifies these key support and key resistance levels. By going to this column here and selecting long bounds, we are ensuring that the pullback will coincide with the key support level. If we go to the very first one here, for example, to Energy Inc., let's have a look. What do we see? Well, we do see a level 4 pullback. And where did this pullback end? Exactly at the support level. This is what we are looking for. And then, of course, we can look at this stock a bit more closely. Would I now invest into this stock right here? Maybe not so much. I do like the setup. It's near support, but look what's right above price here. There's a resistance level, meaning this trade, should we bounce off this level, doesn't have that much room until we hit resistance. So maybe not the most interesting one. I prefer, stocks where we have a lot of room to the upside, where we're not bounded right away once that move happens. But you see the idea. Okay, so now let me go back to our scanner here and sort from highest to lowest. And the first one that comes in is indeed Tukas Limited, an Australian stock. Not sure if we're going to be trading this one here, but let's have a quick look. What's happening here with Tukas Limited? Oh boy, huge gap here. Yeah, I'm gonna disqualify this stock also right off the bat. This gap is just screaming to get filled. And why we are here? Long bounce. There's something off of this stock. Let's just move on from this one. This is definitely not near support level. Maybe there's something off of this particular stock. Let's go to the next one. Oh, this one is also not good. Let's go to Credo Technology Group. Okay, now we're talking. Once this loads, let's give it a second. Okay, this is more like what I was trying to find. Look at this beautiful setup. A long-term uptrend. You can see how the stock has been going up. And now the pullback of the highs directly to this key support level. Um, and the anticipation is okay. We might be bouncing off this level to the upside, especially since we also here do have this liquidity capture event. You see this one here on the last bar? This is an event which happens that when a candle approaches a key support level, it cannot fully penetrate it. You can see we're still hovering at the support level, and this candle has abnormally high volume. And oftentimes, this can be interpreted uh, as that buyers are stepping in or something is happening. Something is driving up the volume at this particular level, and perhaps buyers are stepping in, preventing price from coming further down, and price may bounce to the upside instead. So I'm going to add this one to our watch list as an interesting bounce setup. Perfect. And Niklas, can you please take note of these two symbols? See the first ones? There's something off of those. I'm going to investigate that afterwards.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on. All right. The Bremlis Limited. Okay, what is this stock? Also an Australian stock. For the Australians among us perhaps today. Very fitting to my location right now. Yeah, similar setup. Look at this. A nice uptrending stock. We came off the all-time highs down to this support level. And now, of course, the idea is after we filled this gap, in fact, look at this gap, which was eventually filled. This up gap here. The idea is that we will be bouncing off this level to the upside. Actually, definitely an interesting setup as well. So I'm going to add this one to our list. All right. Perfect. And if you scroll down a little bit further, I'm going to skip a couple of symbols here. What do we see here? Look at this. NVIDIA. Yeah. A stock that we found manually because somebody requested it, but we could have also found it with our scanning process as one of the qualifying stocks for this particular setup. Also NVIDIA, I believe I already added it to our watch list. Let me just quickly see if I did. Yeah, definitely an interesting stock. Yes, was already added. Interesting stock for a potential long entry on Monday. And if you go a bit further down, you can see we have the Schwab US Large Cap ETF. And below this, we have the SPY. We already added the SPY to our list. But also the Schwab US Large Cap. Look at this one here. Beautiful setup. Off the all-time highs of this resistance level down to support. Now the idea is that, okay, also here, we may be bouncing off to the long side after this pullback from the all-time highs. I'm going to also add this one to our list. Perfect. All right. So Niklas, do we have any questions so far coming in for these setups? Let me just quickly see.
Not yet. Christian
Just
says that we
recent.
can't find Meta in liquidity view.
Oh, we cannot? Okay, we'll check in a second. That should definitely be in there. Meta.
There
There it
we
is.
go.
Yeah, no, it's there.
Just you might have to clear your filters, Christian.
Yeah. Look, make sure there's no filters activated. He can always tell if there's a filter if it says something like, let's go here, something like off, like 41 or off 200. That means the filter is enabled. If I clear everything like this, you can see there's nothing is written out here. So zero. Well, I can move this, whatever. You can see this. There's no filter applied. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's move on. This was our first setup, but of course, there are some other setups that we scan for. And typically, one of our favorite setups, besides the bounce setup, of course, is the following. Of course, the bounce setup wants that we are bouncing off a support level. But in life, of course, there are no guarantees. And eventually, every support level is probably going to fold and prices are going to break this level. And every resistance level eventually is going to break. But if this happens, new opportunities for us can arise as well, because in this case, we could simply enter in the direction of the breakout. You can see it here. Our price broke below support, this red line here, and then we had a nice follow through in the direction of the breakout. But There's one caveat because sometimes, and many times actually, after the breakout, we have a bit of a follow through. We come down a bit, but then the market tries to fake you out. You can see we're coming back up again, and oftentimes we are stopping right at the former level, in this case, the former support level. And this is then the launch pad for the actual move downwards. We can see this for the support zone break, but also for the resistance zone break. Here's an example. We broke above resistance, prices came back up and then down back to the broken level, which is now acting as support. And then the actual move actually happened. So we call this the zone break retrace setup, and a setup that we can scan for as well. So let me show you how this can be done. Oops, just quickly go back here. There we go. Back to the dashboard. And for this setup, all we need to do is to use our Liquidity IQ setup column here, this one, and select long break retrace. You can see it here. I selected. And the first one that come up here are these ETFs. You can see it here, which track the S&P 500 in different countries. So we have, for example, the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. It's a bit of a different price structure, but it's kind of similar to what we saw with the bounce up. We came up and then down to this broken resistance level here. Very similar to the bounce up in the actual SPY ETF. So I'm going to skip all these ones here. They're all pretty much the same setup as the SPY. And the first one that's interesting is this one here, the Ensign Group. Remember this one? This was a stock that we actually found last week. And still in the vicinity. Now we broke resistance, we came up and came back down to this broken level, and then we bounced up. So now we're a bit far away. So this train has left the station, as one may say. So if we are coming down again, once again to this level, perhaps it's going to get interesting again. But right now, a bit too far away, and I think this move has happened already. So what happens? I'm a bit late to this one here. The next one is the Mueller Industries Groups, MLI, on our list. What do we have here? Yeah, very similar. We broke above resistance. You can see it here. We broke above it. We came up and then down towards the broken resistance level. And here also the bounce seems to be in progress already off this resistance level. But once again, it should be coming down perhaps to this level once again. This could be an interesting long opportunity. But at this level right here, a bit too expensive. I want it to come down at least like 102 or 103 from euros. I'm going to wait for this one. Let's move on. So we're going to skip all these foreign stocks here. Let's go to the Curtis White Corporation. All right. Yeah, this one is definitely interesting. And we pointed out already in the beginning. Look at this beauty. Yeah, we came up. We broke above resistance here. The zone break. You can see it here written out, zone break. Mid all-time highs, and then the retracement down to the broken level. And now we are exactly at this entry level, which we have planned out. So this is definitely an interesting stock for the next week. So I believe I already have it in our list, but let me just quickly add it anyways. Again, yeah, I was already there. And the next one is the Carpenter Technology Corporation. All right, let's check it out. What's going on here? Yeah, here I would be a bit careful. I always like to point out gaps in the market. Look at this little up gap here. This one is kind of screaming to me, at least, to be tested perhaps in the next week or weeks. And if this should this be happening, then prices would need to come down all the way to this level, to this key support level. So we're gonna skip this one because this gap might get tested, and if we do, prices will continue to the support level and not stop here at this resistance level. And perhaps one more, the RBC Bearings Incorporated. That's kind of like the RBC Bank here in Canada. Let's check it out. Bullish for quite some time. All right, you can see it here. We broke above resistance in the beginning of November. We came up, made highs on November 12th, and now the retracement back to the broken level. Yeah, definitely an interesting one. I'm going to be adding this one to our list with an entry around this price level here at around 415, 416. All right. Perfect. And you can see how easy it is to just go through this list of stocks. And if you want to filter out, for example, all these foreign stocks, foreign to US clients, what you can do is you can enable, for example, where is it? The currency column. Let me just quickly find it. This one here. And you can say, okay, I only want to see stocks which are traded in US dollars, for example. You can go down here, and then you would eliminate all these stocks which are perhaps a bit obscure. If you're mainly focused on the US market, this would be the way to do it. All right, perfect. Now let's have a look of what we have found so far in our watch
Daniel,
list. Yes.
we have a question here just from William.
Mhm.
Do you blindly enter long on the first entry into the zone, or do you watch on shorter time frames for some price action or confirmation?
I definitely always wait for the market to open and I check to see what's going on. So I wouldn't say I ended up blindly. Uh, but sometimes, the longer you wait for confirmation, the worse your price will get because then price would need to already start moving in the direction. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. If you want to enter very aggressively at a very low good price, well, prices may continue to drop further. That's perhaps dangerous, but you get a good price if it happens. And if you wait for confirmation, well, then you have already some indication that price, the setup is playing out. But of course, your entry price will not be as good anymore. It's both approaches are possible, of course, and yeah, looking at intraday data at the off the day when the market opens also doesn't hurt. Yeah,
Last question. Can you scroll through the symbols page by page using return or down up arrow keys?
I don't. Oh, that's a good idea. Let me see. Now, right now you can just scroll. Let me see if the page key. No, that's a good idea. Nicholas, please also add this to
Sure.
our feature list. I'll be looking potentially to this could be added, yeah, in the future. Mhm. All right, great. Okay, so which setups did we find so far? So I want to clear out all our filters. I'm going to go to our watch list down here, the weekly swing trades from November to 22nd, and we have 9 setups. Okay, let's go through them. Real quick, some of them we already discussed. The Hamid Aerospace Inc. I like it. It's a nice zone break retrace setup. We can see it here. We broke above it. Well, now coming down to it, if we continue to come down towards this entry level, this could definitely be an interesting one. So I like it for a potential long when the market opens next week. Good one. Curtis White Corporation. Yeah, similar here. Definitely in our entry zone. Definitely going to be on my books when the market opens. Same setup, zone break, retrace, and now prices are exactly in our entry zone. The Credo Technology Group, a long bounce setup. Let's check it out. What do we see here? Once this opens up, all right. Yeah, look at this nice uptrend. We had a couple of zone breaks in the past, which worked out beautifully. Here, zone break, well, I'm going to move up here towards the all-time highs and the retracement down to support. It's a level 4 pullback, but there were some signs of a potential starting bounce move on Friday. So I'm definitely going to add this one to our list. And here I'm going to add a screenshot to our trade notes. I'm going to click on our trade notes icon here and add a screenshot of this chart to it so that we remember what this setup looked like when we took it. Okay. Or when we discussed it. Okay, the BXBAX, an Australian stock. Let's see what this one is doing. Yeah, I might be a bit careful of this one. I don't like these huge bars here. We're about to fill this gap, which actually is a good sign. This up gap here is finally, or was finally filled last week. I can see it here by this candle. And now we may continue our bounce move, but this kind of reminds me of a descending triangle formation. You can see it here if I zoom out a little bit. It's kind of bounded by this level here and this upper level here, making lower highs. So maybe not it's not the most bullish longer or triangle setup here. It's a descending triangle. So I'll just be a bit careful. I'm going to stay away from this one. Also because I don't really know what this stock is doing. Just quickly look at this thing here, just real quick. Supply chain logistics. All right. Okay. Moving on. The RBC. Oops. Second. The RBC Bearings Incorporated. Long break reaches for 6 bars. Okay. Yeah, this one definitely is interesting. Look at this beautiful uptrend. This stock is in. There are bigger swings in here, so this is something to be considered. I know we discussed this one back here in August this year for potential entry, which would have worked out nicely. Uh, and yeah, you know what? I like it. I'm gonna call this one out as I'm gonna take a screenshot of this setup for next week. So interesting one. So we're gonna add it here as a trade note as well. Perfect. Oh, right. Then NVIDIA. Oh, yes. I mean, I think NVIDIA is a stock, especially with the pullback now, which doesn't hurt to have in your portfolio. I know we're discussing swing trades here, but if a stock would qualify for both a good swing trade, which we definitely have here, we just came down to this key support level in an uptrend with a level 4 pullback. That's a nice swing trading setup. But of course, NVIDIA is also something that has strategic importance if you want to have it in your portfolio. So if these two things come together, why not? So I definitely going to call out NVIDIA as the potential long entry with a wider stop loss because, if prices come down a bit further, I would simply wait it out. I think this is a stock which, yeah, will eventually, of course, resume its bullish move, and it doesn't hurt to have in your portfolio. So I'm going to add it as well to our trade notes. There we go. Okay, done. And the next one is the SPY. Yeah, for sure. I think that you can't really go wrong with the SPY. I have been adding to my long position, my long-term long position in the SPY with every pullback which I see, and this is no exception for this. On Monday, when the market opened, I will be looking to add to my position in the SPY based on this technical setup. Long-term uptrend, pullback to a key support level. Let's add this one as well to our trade note. I'm going to add a new one and add a new trade note. There we go. Once it's loads, perfect. And lastly, the Schwab US Large Cap ETF. I'm actually not exactly sure what this ETF exactly tracks. I guess it's US large caps, but it definitely looks like a nice bullish uptrend. Pullback to key support, and also here, yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. I probably would not do invest in all of those at the same time because this would be against diversification. So if I would go long the SPY at a position there and in this symbol here, the US large caps ETF and perhaps the QQQs, probably because they're all somewhat correlated, this is not the best idea. But I'll leave it up to you to pick whichever you think looks the best to you. So same setup here for the Qs. We pulled back to key resistance here, which is now acting as support. This could once again also be a launch pad for another move higher. And by the way, guys, if you want to know all the details behind this sell-off and tag last week, join us tomorrow with Johnny Seville. I will be there as well. We're going to be calling in from Broad Beach from the Gold Coast tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. Perfect. With this, Niklas, let's see if there are any
Yeah, we
questions.
got a couple.
Oops, I
Okay,
made a
so the
mistake.
first
Give me
one,
one quick second. I'm just gonna fix this real quick. There we go.
so the first one is going to be from Massa
Yeah,
saying, so for a zone break retrace, the goal is usually to buy when price comes back down to the resistance that was broken, right?
yeah, that's right.
And for which is kind of the opposite of a bounce setup where we want price, at least for a long bounce, to reach the support level to buy instead.
I mean, it's in both cases. Both cases. It's a retracement to a key level. Whether you call this level a resistance level or a support level, it doesn't really matter in my view. So here we're coming down technically to a resistance level. In this case here, for example, it would come down, retrace down to a support level once this loads. Yeah, in both cases, we're coming down to a technical level, and whatever you call this level is not so important. But yeah, the idea is the same. We'll retrace down to a key level in both cases.
Thank you. And from Al, the labels are hard to read for MA Rush. You cannot change the color at this point in time, Al.
That's a good
Um,
point too, Nicholas. Maybe also add this to our feature request list. I think I've
sure.
had this a
And
few times before.
Linda,
Yep.
a zone break is when price breaks through the highest resistance on the chart to the upside or to the lowest supports to the downside. So it usually signals a significant
Yeah,
change in trend. The old patterns are broken and price is taking off in a certain direction.
that's right. So let's look at this one here, for example, Sensora Inc. You can see it here. What has happened here in the past? 31 bars ago, in fact. I'll make this a bit bigger. Look at this one, Linda. We broke above this resistance. Then we even have an arrow here. Zone break is even labeled. And then, we broke above resistance. Then we had a nice follow through afterwards. That's the idea. That's a zone break above resistance. And if you're looking for a zone break below support, you can easily find this by selecting long break here for breaks above resistance. And if it's support, you do short break. And for example, one that maybe is interesting, the Kala Bio Inc. Not really sure. Oh, now this is a crazy stock. Let me just find one which is perhaps a bit more interesting. The WVVI stock. Okay, look at this one here. Here we lost support. Price broke. You can see it here below the support level. Then we had this follow through to the downside. So this can happen in both directions, of course.
Perfect. And then
Yep.
the next question, Moshe, this is a good idea. I'm going to write this down too. Um, is there a way you can add the number of days to MA Rush on Thinkorswim? So Daniel, what I was thinking would be something like a little label in the bottom of a corner of a chart that tells you how many bars MA Rush has been in that direction for. That's a good
Yep.
idea.
Yep. Mhm. Good.
Um, Paula wants to know, is it reliable to anticipate liquidity captures before they happen using volume IQ? One of
Um,
the volume profile indicators in the dashboard. So I
oh,
would
that's
say,
that's a good
yeah.
question. Yeah, I don't know. I've never tried really this volume profile indicator in here. I know there's one in there. Let me just Volume
Notice
profile.
with volume IQ, which does have a volume profile, that when there's a huge volume node at a support or resistance level, yeah, generally there's higher probability of there being a capture.
Yeah, let me just quickly go to the
Like
SPY here.
here, we
So,
wouldn't have expected a liquidity capture at all because it was low volume at the level.
yeah, look at this. Oh, I guess you can move this. I'm actually not really sure how
Short
this
look back.
built. Yeah, let me take this off again 1 second. What did I do? Go move, remove. Oh, that's an interesting one. Let me just go one more time to this volume mic, volume profile, visible range. Oh, this one. Okay. So this, oh, okay, I see what this one does. Okay. Yeah, look at this one here. I guess it will recalculate now for the visual range on the chart. And yeah, you can see this high volume node here. This red white line, I guess that's the zone of control, kind of coincides to some degree with, well, to some degree, I'd say, to where we are right now. So yeah, this could be definitely there can be something taken off from this volume profile as well. Of course, in the long run, we're trying to integrate our great volume IQ into indicator into the dashboard. That's more like a project for next year. Mhm.
Perfect. Okay. And then our next questions, Daniel, are just symbol requests, nothing about the watch
Let-
list.
Okay, let's do it. Yep, let's do a few
Okay. So
symbols.
the first one is going to be Tesla. If we didn't look at it already, have we?
We did not yet. So
Okay.
Tesla, let's have a look. What's going on with Tesla? Well, I know we called out last week that you should not be entering Neo was maybe 2 weeks ago. Actually, let me take off this volume IQ, this volume profile indicator if I can. Oh boy. 1 second, remove. There we go. Okay. Yeah, unlike Tesla, definitely up here, it was not a good buy. We called it out, I think it was 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. I remember I was at the World of Trading when I discussed the setup, which was the beginning of November. And we are right at resistance. So a long trade here, probably not the best idea. But now things are a bit different. Now we came down all the way to this key former resistance level. And this could be some sort of zone break retrace here as well. So if prices perhaps are coming down a bit further to like 360, 368, this could be an interesting long entry for Tesla in the anticipation that we're going to bounce and eventually attack the all-time highs. Yep.
Okay. And then the next symbol is going to be Hilton, HLT.
Yeah. I know Hilton we had a few times on our radar. I haven't checked much this week because I was traveling, but let's see what's going on. Short bounce. Oh, this look. Yeah, you gotta love Hilton. What's happening here? So Hilton, we called it out a couple of times in the past for a long entry. Now when prices came down to this key support level, nice bounce to the upside. Also, a nice bounce to the upside. And prices came down, and now we are right at this resistance level. Would I enter long right here? Probably not. Would I short it? No, probably also not. It's it's a long-term uptrending stock. I don't like to go against that predominant uptrend. But if you come down one more time to the support level, that could be an interesting long. But right here, I'll be rather careful because I don't want to short this symbol, but this would be more like a short setup because we're right at resistance with a liquidity capture.
Perfect. Okay. And then the next symbol is IMAX.
Yeah. IMAX. IMAX Corporation long break retrace. Okay, let's check it out. We're at 3.14% of the all-time highs. Yeah, definitely interesting. We are extended, you can see how far we are away from our averages here. So I would like to see prices to come down at least to the zone here at 34, a bit further away. If we do, yeah, potentially a long entry. But right here, I would be careful, I think, because a pullback might be imminent. Or this pullback might go a bit deeper towards this broken or this former resistance level here. Mhm.
Perfect. Okay. The next symbol is going to be TTWO,
Oh yeah,
two-time
take
interactive,
two
take two interactive.
addictive. And a magnet zone. All right. Magnet zone means you can see it here. We are in the middle, in between support and resistance. So let's have a quick look. All right. Yeah. A gap down here a couple of weeks ago from November 6th, which hasn't been filled yet. We are definitely in an uptrend. You can see it here. Stocks are trending up. Let me see for how many trading days, for 600 trading days in an uptrend. Right now in the middle, I mean, I personally would like to wait for prices to come down a bit closer to the support level for a long entry. If you don't want to wait that long, I think it's still an interesting long entry right now at this level because this gap is screaming to get filled. And if this gap is to be filled, prices would need to come up all the way to at least 252. Yep.
Okay. The next one's going to be BA. That's Bank of
B,
America
yeah,
or no?
there we go.
Oh, no.
BAC.
Sorry, Daniel. BA, just the symbol BA. I was just
Okay.
wondering if it was Bank of America
Oh,
stock.
okay. Got it. So sometimes, a little hack for the dashboard. If you search for BA, of course, this is only two letters. It's very common in names and so forth. You have lots of hits, like 453 hits. What you can do is to simply sort by symbol alphabetically, then scroll down a bit. So for BA, it's right here.
You know what would be cool, Daniel? Just a feature idea
Boeing.
is
Yep.
beside the search bar, a little thing you click so that it looks for symbols, not names. Like a little
Oh
little
yeah.
little button beside the search bar, symbol only or something.
Yep. That's a good idea. Agreed. Yeah. That's so many things we could do, huh? Which we'll keep, of course, adding these things, and there's so many new features in there. If you compare this dashboard to what we had, yeah, 1 year ago, I mean, it's almost a completely different story now. Okay, so BA, yeah, boy, Boeing. Not sure. I mean, we lost support here. Now it seems to me that we are continuing a bit further down. It's been very bearish in the last couple of days, and the next real level in Boeing is down here at 135. Would I short it? I don't like to short stocks, and technically we are still in an uptrend. Would go against this bullish read. So, yeah, I would stay away from Boeing. Right now, it's a bit hard to read.
Okay, Palantir.
Yeah,
And at the same time,
Palantir.
Daniel, we have a question. What does shorting this mean?
Shorting, it means like short selling a stock, anticipating that it's going to continue to go further down.
Basically
Um,
betting it's going to drop. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because you can sell a stock. So short selling a stock means that even if you don't have the stock, you can still sell it. Basically, you would borrow the stock from your broker and then sell it at that price and buy it back later on. And ideally, you buy it back at a lower price, and so how you would make money. Ah, Palantir, yeah, interesting one. I like it. In fact, I wish you would be a bit closer to this level here, but I definitely like this one for a long trade. I'm glad somebody asked for this one. You know what? I'm gonna add this one to our watch list too, because I do like it. I didn't even have this on my radar because we're still a bit far away from our support level here, so it wasn't picked up in our scanner. But if I see this setup here, just be looking at the chart, it looks kind of promising. If you come down to this level here, a long trade pound here, now that we are off, how far are we off? Let me quickly see. Off, yeah, 25% of the all-time highs, would be even almost 30% off. If we come down a bit closer, this could be an interesting buy. Absolutely. So I'm going to add this one to our list. Oops. Okay. And perhaps one more, Nicholas. I do need to catch a flight
Sure.
in a bit. So maybe one or two more symbols, and then we have to close it off. And we're going to continue next week with our lunch and learn session, which, by the way, is on Wednesday this week.
Perfect. Okay, so then the next one would be VSCO.
VSCO. Oh, Victoria's Secret. All right. Let's check it out. Okay. Oh, look at this price chart. Well, in a magnet zone setup, which basically happens when we're in between support and resistance, it's a very wide range from 17 down here all the way up to 48. We're bullish. I mean, it's not something I would trade because we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. We are bullish, yes, and gun to my head, I would say, okay, I would go long here, potentially anticipating a move towards this resistance level here at 48, since we're on a bullish trend. But I rather trade when we are near a key level, not when we are in between uh, levels. Great. All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Daniel.
Well, if you missed some symbols, we're going to continue next week. Of course, it's just I'm a bit, yeah, squeezed for time today. Just a quick reminder. If you want to give this dashboard a try, go to tradingindicators.com/view to sign up for a full week of a trial of this dashboard. And if you want to stick around, we do have interesting monthly and yearly options afterwards. Also, guys, if you have any questions, some questions that weren't answered today, or maybe we overlooked them, you can always reach out to us via our homepage, tradingindicators.com. Click on support, then on contact, and then simply enter your question into the contact form, and it will come straight to my inbox, and I'll make sure to answer every single question personally. With this, guys, I wish you all a great weekend. Thanks so much for attending, and talk to you next week. And of course, we do have our webinar. Let me just quickly go back to this one here, something I'm very excited about because it's going to be an in-person webinar with Johnny Salvo. We're going to be doing it together in his office tomorrow at 4 p.m. from Broad Beach, from the Gold Coast in Australia. 4 p.m. And Johnny Salvo will discuss what the latest tech sell-off was all about and what will be happening next. And the link is tradingindicators.com/special. All right, guys. With this, talk to you. Yeah, hopefully tomorrow. Bye bye. Thanks, Niklas.